Hey, Metal Dave here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, and welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today, we're going to get into a topic that sometimes divides the audience, and that is tribute bands and tribute albums. On the one hand, you've got the people that sort of enjoy the nostalgia of those types of things, get a kick out of it. And then you've got on the other side of the fence people that think it's kind of pointless. They don't understand why the time and effort and what's the point. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of tribute bands and tribute albums today, get our opinions on each of those things. But before we get into that, Jason, what's going on with you? What's on your radar this week?
Well, a couple of things. We are finally past the storm, and
Yes.
we did make headlines. We did tape a couple of Talk Louder episodes during the massive Snowvid 21,
Yeah.
and survived it. I think that I have finally glued back together my PVC pipage around the house, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Good for
It's
you.
probably better than it was before, but I did want to. I'm not going to hold it up to my camera or anything, but I wanted to hold it up at least real quick, and I got a vinyl haul. Did
Oh,
did some trading, and really awesome sort of show and tell
yeah. What you
here.
got?
My buddy, I think I held these up a while back, like a couple of early episodes. These are some bootleg Merciful Fate live stuff from the 90s, I think.
Ah,
And
cool.
my buddy Bob got me those, and they're okay. They're a little crunchy, board
Yeah.
tapey kind of thing. Now, uh, I got it's going to be impossible for me to just hold them all up, but I got Merciful Fate Melissa
Yeah.
on
Classic.
Roadrunner, an original pressing,
Wow.
and then I have the Megaforce version here, which I already had. Now I also got this is the combat version of Don't Break the Oath, which I also just held up. So I got a Roadrunner. I got the domestic and the original, which would have been considered an import, I guess, when it came out. And
Yeah.
they're in mint condition, just mint.
Wow.
And no presents for Christmas, King Diamond,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was super rare. And my buddy, I need to mention his again. I hope I don't massacre his name, Justin Portier. I think I'm Porter, Justin Porter. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, he is up north, Midwest or something. I can't remember at the moment. He might be in like Maryland or something. Anyway, then I also got the King Diamond stuff.
Wow.
Fatal Portrait, that's a Roadrunner as well. That would have been 86. Got to play with them on that tour. Abigail, pretty much the gamut.
Wow.
Them, yeah, and
Man.
yeah, all on Roadrunner. These are originals. I'm wondering how he got them, and like there was no money involved in this trade. It was a trade.
Maybe it's
Uh,
better to not ask.
yeah, don't it? Well, I owe him something. I've got some things I'm gonna send him. So, this is Roadrunner. This is Conspiracy. I mean, this is like I don't know, 89 or something. Yeah, 89. I don't know this material.
Yeah.
It's no surprise to people that I'm more Merciful Fate than I am King Diamond. But
Yeah.
I love King Diamond too.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the I guess this was like 91. Again, Roadrunner. I don't know these. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like you got some listening to do.
Oh, I've already started it.
Yeah,
I ran Melissa today already like 2 times.
good for you. That's
Yeah,
a haul. That's
super happy with that, and one more, I don't wanna wait for a second episode to do this. This record that I did over the pandemic with Ellison, this covers album,
oh
which is
yeah,
very fitting to what we're gonna talk about.
indeed it
This
is.
this is a gatefold. This came out beautiful. I just got this. It's a double, obviously it's a double album. There's 20 damn songs on it. It's got full print sleeves. I mean, that's just
Oh, nice.
badass looking. It's got all kinds of thank yous and stuff from the Ellison band, Bumblefoot and Tom and everybody. And it's on this crazy green vinyl.
Oh, wow, nice.
So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful package, and a lot of people got excited about this record. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, yeah.
What about yourself? Now that we're post storm,
Well, I also had a bit of a record haul, but mine was much lighter than yours. It was only one record, actually.
record haul is a record haul. It doesn't matter if it's 10 or 20 or I got lucky. It's just not a contest. What'd you get?
Well, I went to Waterloo Records here in Austin. It's my son's favorite place to go these days. So I'm in there.
That's called good parenting, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. And it's great for me because I get to revisit the record store probably more frequently than I would on my own. So I've got a little more incentive. Between me and his mother, he's probably in that store once a week. In fact, when we were there last time, the clerk that was at the checkout counter was commenting on my son's jacket, and he said, "Did you have those pins on the last time you were in here?" And I was like, "Okay, they
Starting to
obviously know you." Yeah, they
recognize him, a regular customer, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
down to the detail of wondering whether or not he had the same pins on his jacket this week as he did last week. Um, but anyway, I like going through the bargain bins in the 99-cent rack, and I found Leonard Skinner's live 1976 album, One More from the Road. And for 99 cents, I couldn't pass it up. Of course, it's a double live album um, from right before the plane crash, about a year before
Oh,
the
yeah.
plane crash. And Leonard Skinner was one of the first bands that I remember listening to when I was about 12 or 13, about the age I was starting to discover rock and roll. Leonard Skinner was among the first bands I heard because my dad was in the Air Force and we were living overseas in England and we were living on an American Air Force base. So I was friends with fellow Americans who were stationed overseas. And one of my buddies had three older brothers. So they came over from the States already fully formed rock and rollers. And here I am, me and my buddy, we're at an age where we're starting to get curious about rock and roll. And these guys came over with all the records and they were already, full into it. And because of those guys, I got turned on to Leonard Skinner. And I remember making cassette copies of their vinyl and listening to the albums on one of those old cigar box shaped cassette players with the big chunky buttons. And yeah, so I was all about some Leonard Skinner. And I remember I was living in England when the plane crash happened. And I remember being just kind of devastated. It was the first time that a plane crash actually meant something to me. That was always something you heard about in the news. But this one kind of, you know, I felt it because it was not that I knew the guys personally, of course, but this was a piece of me that no longer exists because of a plane crash. So anyway, Leonard Skinner, very important band in my early years of becoming a rock and roller, and I found their double live album for 99 cents at Waterloo Records, and I've been spinning that this week, getting reacquainted with the tunes, especially in the live format. Always loved Needle in the Spoon, Call Me the Breeze, working for MCA,
Oh, yeah.
Freebird, of course, Give Me Three Steps, good classic stuff. At the band of the band right at their prime. So it was a good
Nice.
score.
I think, that band Raging Slab, uh,
Yeah.
recorded, a cover of Working for MCA.
Oh, nice.
that was really badass.
Yeah.
That live album, sue me or kill me for not knowing, but it could be a huge record to a Skinnard fan, and I wouldn't even know it because I don't know if I've heard of a Leonard Skinner double live album, you
Oh
know?
yeah, it was a pretty common release. It's not like a rare import or anything. It was a
No.
major label, part of their catalog.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It just when I think about it, it's like I am not everything Leonard Skinner. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Leonard Skinner, but
right.
I don't I might have one record, it might be a CD.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to literally look for it.
Well, besides those cassette tapes that I recorded from my buddy's older brother's record collection, one of the first albums I remember owning in my house as a kid was an 8-track copy of the album Street Survivors. And oddly enough, it was the artwork was the one with the flames in the background, which shortly after the plane crash, the label pulled that artwork, of course, and replaced it with just the same shot of the band minus the flames in the background. But one of the first things I remember listening to on my parents' stereo was an 8-track of Street Survivors, and yeah, and it was the one with the flames in the background. I wish I still had it just for collectability, but it's long gone. One last bit of trivia on Leonard Skinner. That plane that crashed was actually scouted by Aerosmith, and the guys in Aerosmith had a friend. One of the guys had a friend whose dad was a former pilot or somehow worked in the aviation industry, and he went to check out that very same plane and told the Aerosmith guys, I don't know, I don't have a good feeling about this plane. I wouldn't buy it if I was you guys. So they passed on it. So, and then of course it went down not long later and basically ended Leonard Skinner, but it could have been Aerosmith. So
Obviously, something was wrong with it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a doesn't take a well, we needed some kind of, aviation expert. I was gonna say brain surgeon. You wouldn't want a brain surgeon to go look at the plane.
Yeah, yeah. Well, apparently Aerosmith had the right guy, and Leonard Skinner didn't, or maybe Leonard Skinner didn't even bother having the plane inspected. Who knows? Uh, but you know, tragedy, no matter how you look at it, and
Right.
ended a great band. But there you have it. That's my fine 99-cent double live Leonard Skinner album.
That's a score. It sounds like they're gonna start calling your son by his first name here pretty quick. So
I think they already have.
yeah,
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 exactly.
that's good, that's good.
Yeah, works for me. All right, let's move into our main topic this episode. Today, we are talking about tribute bands and tribute albums. It is a subject that seems to divide people. Like I said at the top of the show, some people think they're great. They enjoy the nostalgia factor. They enjoy just the pure entertainment and the fun of it. And then other people don't really see the point in tribute bands or tribute albums. They kind of think they're sort of a second-rate knockoff. Don't really see the value in it. You know, and I guess at the end of the day, it all boils down to personal taste. But let's discuss a little while. What is your take on? We'll start with tribute bands, and we'll just let the conversation go wherever it goes. But
Yeah, because I definitely wanna get into tribute albums, and,
yeah,
a
sure.
lot of people who know me know that I appear on quite a few of them.
Yes.
So tribute bands, which I have been also involved and even spearheaded a couple, uh, it's not, um, so much that I'm forming a tribute band or, um think about forming a tribute band or the idea of that would be a good idea for a tribute band. It's not like I'm scheming to do that all the time because I think I'm going to make a lot of money because or whatever. There's not really any monetary bullseye
Right.
It really is, and this is vital. This is an important thing that I wanna just, bleed onto the screen here is, it's because I love the band
Yeah.
would be the reason why I would wanna be involved,
Right.
in any kind of tribute. It's because I mean, love the band.
Yeah. Yeah.
An AC/DC, a Kiss, an Aerosmith, a Metallica. I've done tributes to all of those bands, to where, we're at least giving it a shot to have the visual, not to where we're cutting our hair and dyeing our hair like the guys in the band. I mean, in a Kiss tribute band, I've been done one where it's a five-piece band. Everybody knows Kiss is not a five-piece band, and
Right.
we didn't wear any costumes or anything. We just paid tribute to the songs.
Right. That was sick.
Correct, and
Yeah. Our
that
producer
was
Jared was in that band.
that's correct, and that was and we were around for, I don't know, 20 years or something, and that
Yeah.
was so much fun, and
Yeah.
everyone who came to see us had so much fun, but we weren't spitting fire and wearing boots and makeup. It was solely because the songs are the songs touch the something in a fan's soul, and they remember where they were the first time they heard that, or that it's from their favorite record or something like that. Now that bleeds over into the same group of people who are wearing the outfits and the costumes and going full gonzo
Yeah.
on the stage show and everything. And I've seen some of those bands and some of those Kiss tribute bands, or hell, even an AC/DC tribute band that actually, they got the schoolboy uniform and they get, they're either dressed up like Bon Scott or whatever. Big Balls and Back in Black are two Texas AC/DC tribute bands that are pretty damn good. And
Yeah.
they care. They care. But once again, it doesn't matter what music or who you're paying tribute to when you're a tribute band. For the most part, from the way I see it, it really is because you love the band.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, I can appreciate it from both perspectives. Um, I like the tribute bands that are doing something that I can no longer get out of the original band. So, for example, I'm just going to use an example here, but if there was a Motley Crue tribute band that was only doing material from the first two albums and they were dressed somewhere in between, like they looked like the Too Fast for Love era or a mix of the Shout at the Devil era or something, I would be excited about that because I'm a Motley Crue fan. And if I go see Motley Crue at my local arena, when they come through town, they have to play all the hits from a long catalog of records. They got to touch on Girls, Girls, Girls and Dr. Feelgood and Theater of Pain. And that's fine. But my point being that I wouldn't have much interest in seeing a Motley Crue tribute band if they're covering the catalog. To me, my interest would peak if they were covering a segment of the career that band is no longer offering me. So yeah, something like that. I know that there are bands that do that, tribute bands, and I think it's really cool if they focus in. They know that there's an audience out there for the first two whatever albums, right? And they give it to people. And I think that's exciting for the band because, as you say, if the band is going to concentrate on a particular album, especially if it's early on in the band's careers, you can pretty much be assured that the band members are super fans of that band and they're getting some enjoyment out of playing this. And then the audience, on the other hand, gets a kick out of it because they're not going to get that set list anywhere else, not even from, especially not from the original band, right? So in that regard, I really can appreciate what tribute bands are doing, and I appreciate the fandom that makes them want to get on stage and recreate those songs and that band's material and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to jump in and just say it doesn't matter if there's anyone watching them or not. It almost to put it back in perspective of the guys in the band, the people on stage, you know, that band doesn't really even have to be the greatest musician. They don't have to be that great of a band from the perspective I'm giving here. They're
Yeah,
doing it because they're fans first.
right.
And they, if they're choofing the song a little bit, and they probably don't care. They're wearing the costume and they're having a great time and they're just glad to be doing it. We're talking to somebody who's doing it either totally legit where the band has to be good, or they get hired and they have an agent and they go on tour,
Right.
or just the backyard party where there's a bunch of buddies that got together and put together these costumes and worked up a set for their buddy's 50th birthday party. You know, it's the same, it's coming from the same place to me. Now
Yeah.
now there's, the let's call the A level band that like that made me pick one. So it may be Back in Black out of Dallas or the Iron Maidens from Los Angeles. It's
Yeah.
obvious who they're paying tribute to by the name of their band.
Right.
Is
Right.
also important as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And those bands tour.
they do, and they
Yeah.
do fly-in dates. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like a legitimate band.
Right.
Um,
Right.
there's we've kinda covered most of the idea of, the people in these bands, the kind of people in these bands. I wanna bring up just this one last thing. The people who are, like, touring as a tribute, they're actually have an agent and they actually tour, and they might play 100 shows a year.
Yeah.
They're not, buying new houses and cars, but they can live off of that. So
Sure. Yeah.
Um, hell, some of them might be buying cars, who knows? But the point that I'm making is these people are they're musicians who have or have had original bands, have
Yeah.
released records, have
Yeah.
toured their own material, have written and recorded and released and gotten record deals, etcetera. They're legitimate people who have not necessarily fallen back into, oh, well, I don't have a record deal anymore and my records aren't, my music doesn't sell, so I'm just gonna play a tribute like, oh, poor me, I'm gonna be in a cover band now, you know what I mean?
Right.
I
Right.
don't think that they're looking at it like that at all. I think that they're still DIY, they're still really care about their craft. They're fans. They're not doing it solely for the money. We've made that very clear, but I did
Yeah.
wanna say these are people who they can write songs.
Yeah.
They can be hired to play original material for someone else in the studio, or they could be in original bands still right now, and then this is just a side gig, right?
Right.
That
Right.
happens all over the place. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, that's how I really feel about it. Now, I'm going to open a topic and I want you to comment. What do you think, or have you heard anyone sort of like dog out, the people who think that it's okay to be in, let's just call it a working tribute band. I mean, obviously, there is a demographic of people that's like, it's like, oh man, that's cheesy. I don't want to see someone just up there just acting like they're, AC/DC or Kiss or Iron Maiden or Metallica. I'd rather
Yeah.
just see that's just a waste of my time, whatever they say about it. Um,
Right.
you know, so the pros and cons from the people in the audience who are seeing that there is a touring tribute act coming to their town. What do you think of that reaction, whether it be, "Oh, man, I gotta see that, that'll be fun," or the other side of it, like, Screw these assholes. They can't even get a gig with their own music, so they just see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
What do you think about that standing
Well,
between that?
yeah, I mean, I totally hear what you're saying, and you and I run in circles that where we rub elbows with people that are straight up snobs. Let's face it, and I've been
That
accused of the same.
that's okay. I think
Yeah,
that it's okay for them to have a little, like, chip on their shoulder about
right.
how dare they cover that song? How they can't do there's only one
Yeah,
Gene Simmons or whatever it is,
yeah. I mean, being in a tribute band definitely has a certain stigma to it, rightfully or wrongly. It's kind of uh, yeah, it's kind of viewed, as you said, as sort of uh, how do I put this gently? It's almost viewed as a step down from an original band for all the things you just said, um, and I feel like you were saying that a lot of the bands are already accomplished musicians in their own right, and they do have other projects, and the tribute band is just some sort of sideline fun project. And in some cases, it might be the moneymaker. Their original music is all fine and good, but maybe they're not making the dough with that, which is probably not all that uncommon. Um, but I've always felt like at the end of the day, it boils down to, is the audience having fun? And if the band is having fun and the audience is having fun, what else really matters, you know?
that's hugely the point.
Yeah, I mean, you can nitpick it and you can play rock and roll snob, and I've been guilty of it myself. I'm not going to lie, but at the end of the day, I think if it entertains people and the band's getting off on it, then there's some value to it. Um, so I don't. And again, like I said, if the band is providing me something that I'm not going to find anywhere else, then more power to them. That's even better. I want to be clear. We're not talking about cover bands. We're not talking about a wedding band that plays Van Halen and then plays Bon Jovi and then plays Garth Brooks. We're talking about bands that are replicating a particular band and songs only from that band. These are tribute acts, not cover bands. And so I wanted to ask you, especially because you've been in both types of tribute bands, what are your thoughts, or how important is it to you that the band not only sounds like the band they're replicating, but how important is the look? Do you think it's important that they look the part? Because I've seen some tribute bands where the two front guys are putting in an effort and they look like, you got the Mick and Keith, but the Ronnie Wood is bald and wearing flip flops, and the Charlie Watts is like, got a beard or something like that. What are your thoughts on replicating the look
I
as well as the music?
I think that if you're gonna call yourself a tribute, you need to put forth the effort to have like that. I forgot the phrase I used earlier, but the visual. There has to be like, somebody in the audience has to be able to stand back a little bit and squint while they face the stage, and there be some sort of replication of what they might see.
Yeah,
If the Angus Young is just standing in one place all night, even though they're wearing the schoolboy uniform, boo.
yeah,
That
right.
doesn't work. I know people that have actually quit an AC/DC trip or quit playing the part of Angus Young in a tribute band because it was killing them. It was it was ruining their knees. They were hitting their head on shit.
Right.
They're wearing their old asses out. And these
Yeah,
were and sometimes they were young people too, and they
yeah,
just were like they would just be all bruised up the next day, and sometimes they had, gigs in a row, 3 in a row, whatever, and they would just be a mess. So
yeah,
they had to, like, quit the game. I mean,
yeah,
these are people who are pro musicians, and they were doing it for a gas anyway, and all of the reasons that we've already covered were all checked. So it
yeah,
wasn't like they didn't have a gig, Someone who didn't have a gig and they were just doing it as a weekend warrior or something, that was their main thing, they wouldn't quit, but I bet that's usually the one that wants to stand still.
yeah. I kind of have, I have somewhat mixed feelings. I mean, I'm more in favor of the band trying to replicate the original band. So to me, the look and the presentation is as important as the music.
I agree.
But having said that, I will say, and your former band Sick, which did all those classic Kiss tunes, there's always exceptions, and those exceptions again are: am I going to see and hear some guys play some kick-ass music that I can't count on Kiss to play anymore? And at that point, I don't care what you're wearing because it's Saturday night. I'm out to party, and you guys are playing the first three Kiss albums, and that I don't care what you look like. I don't
But
care if you have three heads.
right in the middle of it, we're playing Almost Human.
Yeah. So
Like we're
again,
going super, super deep. And we're also playing your favorite song, but we're also playing my favorite song. So that's what I think is we're sort of stirring the same soup here
yeah,
when it's but I will agree, I don't know of many other tribute bands that um maybe there is an AC/DC tribute band or a Smashing Pumpkins tribute band or whatever, uh, who is taking from all different eras of that group. If they've been around 20 years or more,
yeah,
they're doing like 2 songs off of every album
sure,
just so they can try to be a crowd pleaser.
yeah,
That's a different agenda, I think. But my point was going to be also that that band is probably okay. It's okay with me that they're not trying to look like Billy Corgan.
yeah,
They're not trying to, um, you know, are you gonna dress up like James Eha?
yeah, yeah,
It doesn't, um, the iconic look of a band is usually part of the reason why someone would want to do or have this in their vocabulary, like, wow, that would be that's a good idea for a tribute band. They're usually talking about someone that's got something about them. There's Queen tribute bands where it's all about the Freddie Mercury. No one
yeah,
else is really, maybe the guitar player has an afro wig on and he has Brian May's guitar, he has
right,
a signature series guitar.
right,
Seeing an AC/DC tribute band where the Malcolm Young is not playing a replica of Malcolm Young's old Gretsch guitar,
yeah,
that's even a bummer for me. So that'll
totally,
tell you how anal retentive I am about it.
yeah,
I'm paying attention.
yeah,
Unfortunate for you, I'm
yeah,
paying attention.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
want to see Malcolm Young play a Stratocaster.
Or a flying V or something.
Doesn't work. It
Yeah,
doesn't, it's not
exactly,
gonna even sound right. And they know
exactly.
that. It's just not right. Anyway, so, I mean, I think that that's because we're fans, we're so hardcore caught up into this. If I'm gonna go see a tribute band, they better be badass or I'm not gonna last all night. I might last 3 songs and smirk, and I
Right.
don't wanna do that. That's shitty. They're
Yeah.
just up there having fun,
I think
you
that's
know?
the point. I think that's
Yeah.
the point. It's like, if you're going to do it, then do it well. And either do it well by looking and sounding the part, or do it well by focusing on something that's so obscure and I don't mean obscure like unheard of, but something that the band itself, the original band, is no longer doing. If you're gonna be um, a Black Sabbath tribute band and you're only going to play the first three albums, I'm probably okay with you showing up in jeans and a t-shirt because I
Yeah.
can't get that from Black Sabbath at the local arena and I can't get it from Ozzy Osbourne solo anymore when he comes out and does the encores.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be, a band that already had sort of a visual flair, like a Van Halen or a Motley Crue or a Kiss or whatever, and you're gonna go beyond just a early album or two, then I feel like you got to bring the look too.
Well,
So
and, I don't wanna see a Paul Stanley that's overweight and standing in one place because he's afraid he's gonna fall on the 7-inch platform boots. I
right.
wanna see the Paul Stanley kicking those high heels over his head, and
Yeah,
I've seen
exactly.
tribute bands do that before, and those are the good tribute bands.
Yeah,
But the Angus standing still, if you don't have the same build as Freddie Mercury and you can't, I mean, a Queen tribute, you gotta be badass. Let's
yeah,
move forward into something that is at least into the '90s and, um, Slayer is not the '90s, and neither is Pantera technically, but around 1990 would have been a good sort of starting point for Pantera. Let's talk about a Pantera tribute band. I think that the material that you could do, especially now because there's no more Pantera. Well,
right,
shit, there's no more Slayer now either.
right, right,
So those are great ideas. Just say, hey Dave, you want to start a tribute band? Yeah, what are you gonna do? Let's do either Slayer or Pantera. Those are good ideas. You know why? Because you can't go see them.
right. And how about this? Let's do one even better, and let's do a Slayer cover band that doesn't go beyond South of Heaven.
Sure.
How about that?
Yeah,
I don't.
that happens.
Not that I'm opposed to Slayer's material beyond South of Heaven, but just to make it a little more enticing to bring out the
correct.
fans, you
Yeah,
know?
I didn't even take it that way. So, yeah, I knew I could feel you. So, those are good ideas for multiple reasons, and those are tribute bands that work. Though
Huh,
they can get a gig. And you know what? You you can't just be, a guitar player or even a singer or especially a drummer who's just like dabbling on their instrument. Like you're not just like oh yeah, I play a little bit of guitar because of the abilities that Pantera that you have to play Pantera,
right,
to play
right.
Slayer, you have to be a fucking athlete
Yeah,
to play like
yeah,
that. So
sure.
so there's no like, "Oh, that'd be fun," and then, a tribute band's just not going out there playing Cowboys from Hell and then going to the keg.
Yeah,
That's not a tribute band.
yeah.
So you need a full set, at least an hour, and you guys better be hardcore, and you better be excellent musicians or you're gonna suck.
Yeah.
That's it.
Eh,
That's all there is to it.
Now, you touched on something early in the conversation, and I wanted to go back to that because you made the point that there are, in fact, some tribute bands that make a pretty decent living out of this, and those would be your Led Zeppelin bands and
Journey.
your Beatles and your Journey,
Mhm.
and let's not forget the Atomic Punks. I mean, they
Right.
did nothing but Van Halen, and they were one of the biggest draws on the LA club scene back in their day.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they were giving the Van Halen fans something they couldn't get from Van Halen anymore, you know? And they
Did you just say Fan Halen? I love it.
did I say that? I should,
Fan Halen.
if I didn't, I should
I
have.
love it. That makes me wanna get like a fan. We are in Texas, we use fans 'cause
Yeah.
it's hot as hell, and paint it with the Eddie Van Halen stripes.
So when it spins around, it's like this blur of red and white. Yeah.
Well, no, just get a fan and paint the box and everything, just paint it with the Eddie Van Halen stripes and go, "Hey, can you go get Fan Halen for me?" They'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway, stupid
Yeah. No, that
stupid
was
jokes
funny.
here.
Van Halen. I think I coined a phrase and
I love
didn't
it.
even
I love
attempt
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know
Um,
what I'm saying? I mean, those people probably are buying cars and possibly houses. I remember one of the biggest draws on the touring circuit not too many years ago was that Beatles tribute band. And I don't mean they're competing with U2 and the Rolling Stones, but they were doing bang up business. Were they called the Fab Four or Hard Day's Night there was probably
I
both of those bands,
I
you
don't
know?
know, I don't know, but I almost feel like, it's kinda like a Blue Man Group thing where there might even be, like, a conglomerate, like, there's a
Yeah.
management company that's hiring these people to cut their hair and get the suits and
Yeah.
get a gym membership so they can literally look like the Beatles
Yeah.
and go on tour as this touring Beatles tribute band, just as an example. And they're actually making a salary, and then
Yeah.
the manager of the company that's managing these, and there's like four of them on tour at the same time, four different bands, like a Blue Man Group time kind.
Right. Yeah. See, I wouldn't mind seeing that because I grew up too late to see the Beatles. And again, that cover band is giving me something I can't get anywhere else.
Right.
And I'd be interested in seeing that and
Well, I
hearing it.
bet I don't know of any offhand, but it sounds like something Disney would have a hand in, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they would,
Yeah.
like a Blue Man Group is, I don't know if that's even a Vegas thing or whatever, the Blue, but you know what you get
Yeah.
the
It's
idea.
almost a corporation,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
exactly what it is. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
could do that with a lot of different stuff. And I think that, like, for the masses and, like, just something to take, to take the kids to, it's like, "I wanna hold your hand," you know what, all that, cutesy, fun old Beatles songs, and they're dressed up with the shag haircuts and the pinstripe, suits or whatever,
Sure.
the skinny tie, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
I think that that is legit and a lot of fun for more people than we probably are giving credit to. It's
Yeah.
family, it's clean family fun, it's rock and roll history,
Yeah.
and, I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to stand, a 2-hour show, but that would be
Yeah.
pretty cool to see someone nail all that stuff.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Because you gotta know how to play, and you have to know how to sing and
Got to
sing
be able to sing.
harmony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the one that would probably have this is terrible of me to say, the probably a lot of fun doing it, but they wouldn't have to, play anything too crazy, would be whoever played Ringo,
Yeah. Oh
probably.
boy.
Yeah.
Here comes the hate mail.
Yeah, yeah.
You just pissed off a lot of drummers
I
out
love
there.
Ringo's playing, actually. I really do like what Ringo does, or is it Paul that's actually playing the drums on that song? Uh 'Cause, I don't know if you knew that, but, rumor has it that when Ringo would leave the studio, Paul would be like, "Hey, good job, Ringo, see you tomorrow," and they'd wait for the door to close, and then Paul would get in there and re-record all the fucking drums.
Well, yeah. So I think it depends, like I said, whether you're doing it on a level that you're actually touring the country and making a decent living at it, or if you're a local band just kind of doing it for kicks on Saturday night and having some fun with it. I think the important thing is uh, you got to bring something. Either you got to like nail it, or you've got to be offering a set list that is just dynamite and you can't get it from the original band anymore. Either of those two things, I think, is going to come up a winner. And at the end of the day, it's all about whether or not the audience had fun and the band had fun. And, all the snobs can, just keep being snobs. But I do find some value in it if it provides some entertainment to the band
I
and
agree.
the
I
audience. So,
agree 100%. There's some funny moments that I've experienced firsthand, and I'm sure that, like, the legit sort of touring, uh, the corporate tribute band, so to speak, would, probably get even more, have even more funny stories. I've had people come up to me, like, where I just, a tribute band of mine will play a set, and someone will come up to me and go, "Wow, you guys are great. Where can I buy your record?" And I'll say, "At the record store." Remember those record stores?
yeah.
And it's under A for AC/DC,
Yeah. Right. And there's a
or
bunch of them.
or depending on whatever I was wearing that night, it's in K for Kiss.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll
yeah,
find it. Just look for anything Kiss, and that's it. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Let's talk real quick about another tribute band that you were a part of, and that is Sad Wings, a tribute to
mm,
Judas Priest. And I really enjoyed that band because you guys looked the part, dressed the part, you sounded the part, singing as Rob Halford.
let me
But
let me clarify. We're trying.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
giving it our we're giving it, you know, we're giving it as close to 150% that we can,
yeah.
but it's not, you know, there's only one Rob Halford and there's only one Judas Priest,
Sure,
so
obviously, obviously.
uh,
But the kicker with you guys is so you're kind of the double whammy because you dress the part, you got great musicians in the band, and uh, at what point in the Judas Priest catalog do you stop? Like you're not doing Screaming for Vengeance or Turbo or anything. It's all,
y yeah, we're doing Screaming for Vengeance.
are you?
Yeah,
Where is that the cutoff point? There's something about
uh,
Sad Wings that was
we do Free Will Burning,
okay. Then you're
that's on Defenders,
okay.
um
Then you're deeper into the catalog than I realized.
yeah, we've all agreed that it would be awesome to do Painkiller because we have the horses to pull that buggy.
Yeah, yeah,
But it just didn't happen. You know, you gotta rehearse and
yeah,
you gotta work to like
yeah,
I said earlier, man, it's not you gotta be a little bit of an athlete to you can't just be like, you know, "Oh, I play a little bit." No, you have to you have to know
yeah,
a little bit about more of what you're doing other than just go, "Yeah, I dabble." No, you
yeah,
and so, um, it just you know, it's I wouldn't say that we were lazy about not actually getting Painkiller added to the set because our set is already almost like 2 hours,
yeah.
and
And the bulk of it, I want to say, or at least the last time I saw you, it seemed like the bulk of it was, hell bent for leather and backwards or something like
yeah,
that.
we do all of Unleashed in the East. We do everything on that, and then, some tracks that were taken off of Unleashed in the East, Delivering the Goods and, Beyond the Realms of Death and stuff like that. We do those as well,
Yeah,
but we do stuff off of, Point of Entry. We do, uh it's a good show.
yeah. And I think and we need to mention that I've seen Judas Priest in recent years, and so have you, and they are still putting on a great show, and they're pretty good about reaching back into their catalog and busting out some really obscure stuff. Um, but a band like Sad Wings, you guys aren't all that active at the moment, but if you can't wait every
Who
two
who
years,
is? Who is
yeah,
active?
well, exactly, exactly. But if you can't wait every 2 years for Judas Priest proper to come around, then a band like Sad Wings gives you that experience, and it's a little more up close and personal. And so I think again, I think if you bring something to the table, if you've done your homework and you've elevated it beyond some crappy karaoke, then you're doing something cool. So
Yeah, I will agree, wholeheartedly. You know, let's this is not exactly an elephant in the room, but you know, when you're starting out learning how to play an instrument, um, and you're young, you are sort of emulating your favorite guy in
sure,
that band or that
sure,
band or this style or that style. You know, there's a reason why I like Flying V guitars.
sure,
There's a reason why I like those guitars. There's a
yeah,
reason why I like Les Paul guitars. There's a reason why I like playing bass. There's a you know, you're all of us, everyone, it's not about me. Everyone is influenced by their first musical hero, and it stays with them. So what I was really taking where I was going with it is you're learning how to play their songs, okay? You don't know crap about writing a song at that point. Maybe you do. I didn't. A lot of people do not even
yeah,
think it's like about where songs came from. You know, they're more or less just going, "Oh, you know, here's a song by so and so. Yeah, I wonder what they were thinking when they write it." And some people go, "Oh yeah, I guess they their mind is blown when they think about they wrote that song. They created that moment. You
yeah, yeah.
they created the reason that the whole thing, the whole heart that you have fallen in love with, the style, the look, the down to the stupid guitar that they just got off the shelf. I
Yeah.
mean, Angus Young sells he should own stock in Gibson because people play, Gibson
Because
SG
of him.
because of him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at. So,
Yeah.
you're playing other people's material because you love that material, and
Yeah.
that's how you've learned how to play.
Sure.
So, there's not really any difference in, paying tribute in any way, than there is when you're just learning a song by someone else that you
Yeah.
adore. There's no difference in my mind of that exact same thing. So let's talk about the person in the audience who's there hearing you play a song by somebody else that you didn't write that song. They know they're there. They're there because of the same smells and feels and looks that they fell in love with when they first heard that song
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
saw that artist.
Yeah.
This is the drug. This is why
Yeah.
this can be a positive experience for someone. I think the haters, and we, this has been a great conversation. We haven't really dogged anybody out too bad, but there are people that just go, I don't want to see a tribute band, and they have their own reasons, whatever they are, and that's fine. I
Yeah.
know I have my reasons why I wouldn't want to go see a tribute band, but if I'm standing there and they're good and I'm smiling, they're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can almost understand, not almost, I can understand, and that's why I tried to make that distinction early in the segment. I I I wouldn't really have any desire or incentive to go see a cover band versus a tribute band, right? Um, because that doesn't give me the experience. It gives me a bunch of popular songs that I'm familiar with, but I can get that from a jukebox, you
background
know?
music. Yeah,
Right.
background. Yeah,
It's like it works fine at a wedding or whatever, but if I'm going to a venue to see cover tunes, I want them to be cover tunes I want it to be a cohesive package. I want it to be from a band, and I want the band on stage to look like that band or at least deliver a set of the original band's material that I can't hear anywhere else anymore, not in a live setting. So I think maybe, unfortunately, some of the haters and some of the snobbery might come into play when people confuse the idea of a cover band with a tribute band. And the cover band, I kind of understand, no disrespect to anybody, but I'm probably not going to go out on a Saturday night to see a cover band, but I might go out to see a tribute band. And there's a difference, which is what I just pointed out between the set and the presentation and that sort of thing.
that's fair.
Um, Nothing wrong with being a cover band. I mean, that if you play weddings or if you want to play at, uh, at various bars and popular night spots, and that's a good paycheck, and people are having a good time, that's fine too. I'm not going to be in that crowd though.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah,
here's an elephant in the room. This is kind of something that should be obvious to people, and I don't think that they realize how obvious it should be, is that in some markets, in a whole lot of markets, in big markets, big city music markets, on any sort of like in any entertainment district where there's, a bunch of clubs and bars and whatever, venues and stuff, there will be a packed house at the tribute band or the cover band gig, and across the street where there's an all original kick ass
yeah,
band of any kind of music you want, just insert your favorite kind of music, and they're just awesome at it,
yeah.
and all original, have a
Guess
merch
who's making
store.
more
They're
money?
they're creating well, not I wasn't even gonna go there, but
Yeah,
yeah, they're making less money, and they're selling their own records at a merch table.
right.
Um, the cover band or the tribute band, which they should be probably Gene Simmons should shut them down if it's a Kiss tribute and they're selling merchandise. Uh, I mean, I guess they could get away. I've done it,
Yeah,
it doesn't say AC/DC on it. It doesn't say, but,
right.
name insert band name here. It'll be packed at the tribute band or even a cover band.
Yeah,
So people wanna eat at McDonald's more than they want sushi.
sure. It's familiar, it's comfortable, and the audience at the tribute show, and especially the cover band show, they're there for different reasons.
Yeah,
The cover band audience is there to dance and have a good time and do tequila shots and that sort of thing. And the tribute band audience is still into doing some of that, but they know the albums and the catalog inside out. They can name like we were talking about earlier. Somebody could be in the crowd at the tribute band and go, "Man, that guy that's supposed to be Bob Daisley over there doesn't look anything like Bob Daisley." Nobody's saying that at the
right.
cover band gig. So the tribute audience is a little more astute, a little more well studied, and they've done their homework. Um, and I'm not taking anything away. I'm just pointing out the difference between the audience. A cover band can make some pretty good money playing the top 40 hits to a bunch of people that want to dance and pick up chicks or dudes or whatever. And hey, that's
Well,
all
yeah,
cool.
that's a different agenda.
Yeah,
Like, that's almost background music for the scenario or the atmosphere you just created.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, the
exactly.
fan has a different agenda at that point. Let's
Good point.
if we keep it to, quality and, popularity, yeah, where they're paying tribute is gonna be packed, and where you sweat and bled, and wrote great songs and went to the studio and recorded your own material, and there's, like, 5 people watching you is a
Yeah,
sin, and that's normal. I've talked
yeah,
to people in tribute bands, people I've worked with before, and it's like, "You write songs? You have your own band outside of this?" "Man, I tried that for years." I hear that all the time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just ended up doing this, and it pays the bills, so, I'm having fun because
yeah.
I love this
And you're having
machine.
fun, I think, is
Yeah,
maybe even more the more important incentive. That person gave original music a shot. It didn't pan out, but that doesn't mean they're ready to pack up the guitar in the closet and let it
no,
collect dust. They still got it in them. They want to
right,
play. They're fans,
that's
like
right.
you said all along.
I think this is a good time for us to switch gears a
I was
little
going to
bit.
say,
Uh,
go
let's talk
for it.
about tribute albums,
Yeah.
and are there any in your collection or that you know about that you have enjoyed? Is my one question to you, and also, what do you think about, um, just in general, the idea? Do I mean, I think that it's more of a cool collectible thing. What do you think? A tribute album, and explain to everyone maybe listening if they just don't know what a tribute album is. Let's pretend they don't know.
Yeah. Well, a tribute album is basically, by the definition that we're using here today, is an album that focuses on the music of a particular artist, and it's covered by basically put together bands or bands that are already fully formed bands that submit a song, for example, to an Ozzy Osbourne tribute album or a Led Zeppelin tribute album or something like that. So I've seen both, and so have you. So has everybody. You might have a band that you recognize is on a Led Zeppelin tribute album, or you have a Led Zeppelin tribute album that is sort of a hodgepodge of guest players collaborating on a song. And I'll let you talk about that a little more here in a bit because you've been a part of that. Um, my take on that is, first of all, to answer your question, I don't believe I own any of those type of albums off the top of my head. I remember at one point it was a promo item that was sent to me. It was a Twisted Sister cover album or tribute album cover album, tribute album. In this case, they kind of are interchangeable. Um, but I remember number one being interested because I like Twisted Sister, and the types of bands and people that are going to contribute to a Twisted Sister tribute album are also right up my alley. So it had Motorhead, it had Nashville Pussy. I think Joan Jett was on it. And somebody did Shoot Shoot. I want to say it was Motorhead. So there was some good
You mean
moments on
Shoot
it.
'Em Down?
Oh, Shoot 'Em Down. I'm
Shoot
sorry.
'Em
Yeah,
Down.
shoot. Yeah, yeah. I'm off to the UFO tribute
Shoot
album.
the UFO song,
Wrong
yeah.
tribute
That's
album.
okay, that's a great
Yeah,
song, yeah.
yeah. Shoot 'Em Down. Yeah, and I believe it was Motorhead.
I'm
And
surprised you don't have the, Black Flag tribute that came out in the late '90s, maybe early 2000s called Rise Above. It had Slayer on it, it had a bunch of just really kick-ass,
well, speaking
Black
of
Flag.
Slayer, I do have Undisputed Attitude. I haven't listened to it in forever, but you know, my take on tribute albums is there. I'm probably never gonna find one that I feel like I absolutely have to have. There's going to be some that I'm interested in because the artists being covered are interesting to me and the players involved are interesting to me. Um, but I, I like the idea of hearing a new spin on a familiar tune. I guess I enjoy them on a casual basis, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to build a record collection out of tribute albums, is what
Let's
I'm
talk
saying.
about that. I wanna ask you, you just opened up a can of worms and you don't even realize it.
Uh-oh.
So, let's talk about you just said, a different spin on a like, they do a band will do their own version, or who maybe it's not a band that does their own version, maybe it's a group of friends who happen to be, it's the guy from, you know, uh, LA Guns, and it's a guy from, Fall Out Boy or whatever, and they got together with the drummer from so and so, and they did their own spin on whatever, a Motorhead song. They
Yeah.
got together and played a ballad version of Ace of Spades, which sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Song X with guys from X band and this guy from X band and this guy. It doesn't matter, right? The point is a different spin, like it's a different version of the original song.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would I would be interested purely from a curiosity standpoint. And then I would probably hear it, realize it was horrible, and never want to hear it again. 9 times out of 10. I might get surprised. Somebody might actually do a new spin on something, and I might think it's pretty creative, and maybe maybe it's got some fresh new balls to it or something. I don't know. But most likely, I'm never going to hear, more often than not, I'm not going to hear a tribute version of a song that I'm going to prefer over the original. There are
I
exceptions.
I would like to prescribe you something. Do you mind if I
No.
prescribe you something? There is a movie called I'm pretty sure I think that I'm right. There's a movie called Spun. Have you seen the movie Spun?
It sounds
It's
familiar.
got Mickey Rourke in it. It's got you recognize a bunch of people. Jason Schwartzman, Rob Halford is actually in it. He
Oh,
plays
wow.
plays the clerk at a porn store. So
Okay.
so it's called Spun. The main star I can't Brittany Murphy is in it.
Okay.
So it's a full cast of badass actors, and Rob Halford's in it. That's the
Yeah.
reason I own it. But it's a great movie. It's about speed freaks,
Yeah.
cooks, cooking and stuff like that. It's not for the kids. But anyway,
Right.
Billy Corgan he was the music supervisor and recorded music for the movie soundtrack. I want to say in this movie there is a ballad version of Number of the Beast, and I can't remember who the artist was, but it is so good
Really?
that who knew that just this, like, sweet, mellow it's a male voice, like I said, I don't know who it is, singing 6, 6, 6.
Oh,
It
wow.
sounds stupid when I do it, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they just it's creepy, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful at the same time,
Yeah.
and you
I
don't even recognize the song until this person starts singing the lyrics, to Number of the Beast.
Right.
Also, Billy Corgan actually performs, I think he's doing a duet with a female singer, and I don't know who that would be. Billy does "Love to Love" by UFO,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
beautiful. It's incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's this really odd bird, versions of these classic, dare I say, new wave British heavy metal song or, classic, deep cut, hard rock heavy metal songs on this soundtrack that are very, very good. And this means a lot coming from me because I'm with you. Smash it or trash it. I'm gonna trash a bad, just someone. How dare you come up with your own version of "Deuce" by Kiss? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? How dare you do that? Because I come from, uh, I just have this thing in my head like, uh, nail it, get it as close as possible.
Yeah.
You're gonna sound like you when you need to sound like you on someone else's song because you are not them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to, like, do, like, a kind of a rewrite, I'm not saying change the key a little bit, I'm saying change the parts.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. I come across things once in a while that I hear. And you would think just by the song title and knowing who the original artist is that no one should dare touch it. And then once in a while, somebody hits a home run with it. Another one that comes to mind is I always thought Stone Temple Pilots' version of Led Zeppelin's Dancing Days was
Yeah,
pretty darn good.
that's really good,
They did it pretty good.
but they're kinda nailing it.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
a
They're
little
not
bit.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
they're
they're
not
nailing it for sure, but they definitely put there's a different dynamic. It's almost acoustic sounding or something. It's a lot more mellow um, sounding than the Led Zeppelin
well,
version.
they're not Led Zeppelin, so
Yeah,
they sound like Stone Temple Pilots, but they're playing the same arrangement, I think it's in the same key. That's my point. You notice
yeah.
how we're talking about cover songs
I
now.
was just going to say we need to get
Yeah,
back to tribute
but
albums.
that's okay because these people are paying tribute to these songs and these artists, every once in a while. I mean, Van Halen's version of just pick they Van Halen did 1,000 cover songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Their
Dive.
first
Half
single
of them are on Diver Down.
yeah, their first single ever, "You Really Got Me" is a cover song, and
Yeah,
it paved the way, uh, saying that that's definitely okay to do that. Now, tribute albums where it is a bunch of different artists, coming together to pay tribute to one band. I have the opinion that if some of the artists do their own versions of it because, um, you know, they don't play like that really. They're fans of this, they got asked to do it for a reason. Maybe they don't maybe they can't play like Eddie Van Halen. Maybe the singer can't sing like Rob Halford or even Gene Simmons or whatever the hell it is you're doing.
right.
So doing your own version and mashing it up a little bit, I'll just use that term. I think that it's all right because you want to do it and here we are. This is the theme here. They're probably having a blast
Yeah,
doing
sure.
their version of this song for this tribute that might be for charity or something too, because there's quite a bit of that going on as
Yeah,
well. Sometimes it's not. I've been asked to be part of a bunch of different artists coming together to make a tribute record, and made decent money just getting
Yeah.
paid to go cover someone else's song. One
Yeah.
song I've made good money on. So for musicians, whether it be a studio musician or for a band to be invited to that kind of thing, I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the theme here is, again, if the musicians are having fun and there's an audience for it that is having a good time or appreciates it and is willing to spend some money on it, who am I to get between those two people? You know, so um, I'm not gonna dog any of it out. I have my own personal preferences, and they will inform my spending decision. But I'm not gonna hate on anyone for doing, tribute type stuff. As long as they put some effort into it, do their homework, and uh, and bring their A game to it, then who am I to say that
Oh, yeah.
it's not valuable?
I wanna mention that there is, it's rather old now. There's a documentary called Tribute. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think
There's
so.
a movie out, it's called Tribute, and they follow around with a camera crew, a Kiss tribute, a Queen tribute, maybe a Judas Priest tribute, um, and I won't say which one of those artists I'm, like, gagging. I'm, like, just like, "Oh," making faces at the TV when I watch it. But I watched the documentary years and years ago when it came out, and it was very interesting. Some of the highlights were that there were once again, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but there were people seemingly that were in these tribute bands that actually felt like they were becoming the person that they were impersonating.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they felt like they were entitled to something because they were the person they were impersonating, it would act that way, maybe too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it might be a gas for some people to watch as it's like, like laughable. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I think that some of the tribute bands that they covered were worthy worthy of being recognized in the film, and some of them had no business being in there at all.
That might have been the purpose of the film, to show sort of the disparity between,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but highly entertaining and very interesting and a little bit fitting, if not perfect fit for
Yeah.
conversation today.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up because I would probably get a kick out of that.
Yeah, you know what? I think that this has been a really good show with some opinions as well as just some sort of gray area that
Yeah.
we've been able to sort of hit, back and forth over the net.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's rock and roll, right? And if people are having fun and enjoying it, then more power to them. I'm not going to hate on that.
Right. If the tribute records are recorded well with great musicianship on them, with good packaging, and done right, especially if they're for charity and they have all these boxes checked. I think that it's a great idea and a great thing. I
Yeah.
think that sometimes the real band will endorse these tribute bands sometimes and even help them sometimes. I know Metallica has helped out a couple of Metallica tribute bands, and Metallica have maybe had events where they would hire the tribute band to play like during the day for a radio station event or something, or
Yeah.
I've heard of all kinds of things, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Where imitation of life, is,
Yeah, well, if
uh,
you are in a tribute band and you get a ringing endorsement from the original band, then you're doing something right.
it
That's pretty
happens.
cool.
It happens sometimes. It happens
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Well, good talk. Let's wrap up tributes and move on to our final segment, Shot of Rock and Roll. in all of your travels, whether touring or just being Jason, driving around or whatever, vacationing, wherever you may roam, to borrow a phrase from Metallica,
Nice.
what stands out as the most interesting or historical rock and roll monument that you've ever visited, whether that's a statue or the grave of a rock star or a world famous venue. You know what I'm saying? You take it from here.
Yeah, I don't know that I have, gone to my knees at a statue of anyone before. I would have remembered that because there are some monuments that I would love to see and bow down to, and that would be there's a statue of Bon Scott in Perth
Yeah,
that I would love to worship and touch just because I love Bon Scott. But, there's a bunch of those. Philip Lynott, there's, his statue. There's a lot of popular ones.
yeah,
There is I think it's just a pub somewhere in Germany called Halford's, and I wanna say it's still there, and they, I think, have a bust, like a statue of him in his classic scream pose,
yeah,
bent over kinda thing, and, just killing the microphone, and, I would like to be there to witness that and have some thoughts and say a prayer kinda thing.
yeah, yeah,
I have to say that would be like that's just my dream list, whether I get to travel to those places and do that, is remains to be seen. Um, my answer to your question is more about I have played venues, that I grew up, like, like hearing, reading the liner notes and, seeing live concert footage from,
yeah,
and you get where I'm going with this.
yes.
Um, Kiss at Cobo Hall. I've played Cobo Hall.
Oh
Nat
wow.
Kiss Nassau Coliseum. I've played Nassau Coliseum.
Right.
The Capitol Center, Largo, Maryland. I have Kiss videos. I've played there.
Yep. Yep.
Hammersmith Odeon. I've played there.
Yep.
Uh, it's unbelievable. The places that you kind of think, I have to pinch myself sometimes. A couple of those in the middle of my set, I've stopped the show just for a second and said, I just want to look around here because one of my favorite records in the whole world was recorded here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, whether anyone's paying attention to me or not, I have a moment for myself at everyone else's expense.
Yeah. They're
And,
paying attention if you stop the song.
well, I haven't stopped. I'm not stopping the song. It's in between.
Oh,
So,
banter in between. Right. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So you've walked the hallowed halls and played on some pretty sacred stages then.
I would like to think so.
I'd say Hammersmith Odeon is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just trip when they're talking about Red Rocks in Denver. I'm like, "I played there," and people turn to me with their jaw on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I played for." I mean, I was supporting Judas Priest and Alice Cooper. Of course, I've played these badass venues. It wasn't my gig.
Yeah.
I was invited to clean up the room when they were done, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I was on the bill. You got to
Yeah.
squint to see my name, but I was there. Anyway,
Yeah.
those moments have been cool for me. Another one is the old Studio 54, which was called the Ritz later on in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's famous from more or less from that among the fact that I've already mentioned that it's actually the old Studio 54 in New York, but that famous Guns N'
Guns N'
Roses
Roses. Yeah.
concert from MTV, they're live at the Ritz, and that's it. That's the same
Yeah.
venue. And got to play that place like 3 times.
Wow.
Um, so something really, really cool about that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, not many people can say they've played those historical, iconic stages. So you've walked some sacred
And
some sacred
some
ground.
some people might be sports fans, you know, and go and say, I've played the Spectrum in Philly. Oh man, that's where my favorite team practices. You know,
Yeah,
that's where
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
stuff like that. It's kind of
sure.
weird, right? So
Well, cool. That's great. Not everybody gets to say that. So
yeah,
good for you.
my shot of rock and roll to you today, and I sort of borrowed this one from my buddy Bob Sutcliffe. Um, he loves the show, and
Yeah.
and
Thank you, Bob.
he's a great supporter. He loves music.
Yeah,
He's a metalhead, but he loves music.
yeah,
Um, so he, of course, he, and that's us. So
sure.
we love music, but we're just happen to be headbangers.
Yeah.
So we talk. That's why we can talk about any kind of music here at Talk Louder. But he came up with a list of things. He was just kind of like spitballing with me in a conversation. And this is I'll get to it. He mentioned something like this. So when you first got to go sort of backstage and experience a backstage moment, like it's more about when was the first time that you got to go backstage, and why do you think people, or you personally, it's like you've been going to concerts your whole adult life, or when shit, fuck that, even when you were a child, you were going you were going to
Yeah.
concerts. I mean, I didn't even conceptualize meeting the band or going backstage and walking around behind the scenes kind of a thing until much later,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it turned into like maybe a coveted thing. Oh man, did you get to meet the band? That kind of thing. What was your first backstage moment where it actually meant something to you and it was just like, oh, I'm backstage because I got hired to take out the garbage, what?
Oh man. Oh,
Brought to you by Bob Sutcliffe. My shot
yeah.
of rock and roll to David today has been brought to you by Bob Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one, you gotta admit. It's pretty good. It's stumping you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question because there's I've been lucky enough to experience that numerous times, and if I'm going all the way back trying to recall the very first one, that's really going to be, it should be easy to remember because I should have been in such awe that I could never forget it. But the years go by and memories get cloudy and that sort of thing. But here's one that I remember, and oddly enough, you were there, and we we had met, but we weren't really buddies yet because I was living in a different city. But it was the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion tour, and it stopped in Austin, and it was at the Irwin Center. And I was invited by the band's publicist to drive in from San Antonio because at the time she wanted to talk to me about possibly being hired to write promo materials for Geffen Records, the label that Guns N' Roses was on. So she saw it as a way to get to meet me and maybe do a quick interview of sorts, informal, just kind of a meet Dave and talk business a little bit. And oh, by the way, there's a concert going on. Can you make it? And I was,
That would
yeah.
be a hell
I was
yeah.
like, not only am I going to see Guns N' Roses for free, but there's a potential job on the table for working for Geffen Records. So yeah, I'll be there if I have to crawl.
Mhm.
So I came up to the Irwin Center. I brought my buddy Al Kelly from who played in a thrash metal band in San Antonio called Scythe, and he's a dear friend of mine. And he kept me company on the way up from San Antonio. He was my plus one for that night. So we get to the show. Brian May from Queen is the opening act that night, and long story short, I end up backstage with the woman who invited me to the show. She introduces me to Slash. She introduces me to Gilby Clarke, and she introduces me to Brian May. And Al and I are just sitting there,
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I was telling Al, we were, before we were formally introduced to Brian May, we were standing across the room from him. And I remember telling Al, oh my God, man, there's the guy. They'll be playing that guy's music in football stadiums long after our grandchildren are dead.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
it's on.
I was a huge Guns N' Roses fan, and I was totally honored to meet Slash, but I think we were more in awe of Brian May just because of the magnitude of who he is and was and all this stuff. So to answer Bob's question, it was probably being backstage. And I remember looking across the room and I saw you. You were back there, and I remember they had this huge stereo system on like a road crate. It had wheels on the bottom so they could push it around the room, and it was blasting the Sex Pistols. And we're back there, talking to Slash, talking to Brian May, having a few beers, just enjoying the hospitality. And then the woman, I should mention her name is Bryn Bridenthal, and she was super instrumental in the career of Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and countless artists. And she's just a sweetheart of a woman, and she was a queen of publicity. And so she was the reason I was there. And so at some point, she comes up to me and says, Brian, Brian's ride hasn't shown up. Is your car nearby? And I was like, yeah, it's about a block away. And she says, do you think we could catch a ride with you back to his hotel room? And I'm sitting there thinking, holy shit, I'm going to give Brian May a ride to his hotel room. I said, yeah, come on, come with me. So we're walking through the corridors of the Irwin Center with Brian May, and we're just chatting. And, he's the perfect British gentleman, of course,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's,
he's the nicest guy out of the 3 dudes you probably met. No disrespect to Gilby or Slash whatsoever.
well, yeah, I mean,
He's so sweet.
he's classically British and polite, and just I mean, you could bring him home to meet your mom. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
like not threatening or menacing or anything, just this perfect British gentleman, super tall, super lanky. And we're walking, we leave the building, we leave the venue, we're walking through the parking lot, we're on the way to my car. I'm about to give Brian May a ride to his hotel room, and his ride pulls up,
Ah,
totally intercepts us, totally stole my thunder. Brian thanked us profusely for the offer, and wished us well, and thanked us for coming to the show when the pleasure was all ours. Trust me. And that was an unforgettable moment. I almost had him in my car.
well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one. I was hoping for something that was a little bit more of a younger Dave.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a younger Dave, and I really didn't start getting I really didn't have the connections until I was in my late teens or
Yeah,
probably mid 20s.
yeah.
I remember sitting backstage at the Showcase Event Center in San Antonio with Paul Diano.
See,
Um,
that's the one right there. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not begging or choosing. I'm saying
yeah,
that's the one right there. That
that
probably
was a
should have
good
been
one. Yeah, that
at
was
a
a good
minimum.
one. We
Yeah.
just sat on the couch back there, this old flea-bitten couch, and I was running a little cassette recorder. I was interviewing him for, um, I think I was interviewing him for the SA News, which was like a little entertainment tabloid newspaper out of San Antonio. Um, and we just sat back there for what seemed like at least an hour, maybe two, just talking and talking and talking. And he signed all my early Iron Maiden albums. And I was pretty starstruck. Although I hope I covered it well. But that was another good one. Paul
What
Diano, one on one.
what tour was that? What was he doing?
He was touring with his band Killers at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So It's well past Iron Maiden, and you know he was touring with a band called Killers, and they played the Showcase Event Center in San Antonio. I got to sit with him right next to him on a couch, and we shot the shit for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. And he signed all my albums. They're framed and hanging around in my office today. But that was another good one. So that one's for Bob. Two for you, Bob
Nice.
Sutcliffe.
Nice. Good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. But before we go, I do want to remind everybody listening that we really do appreciate hearing from you. We love your feedback. But if you could do us a huge favor and hit that like button on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave your comments for us on our various platforms. We will get back to you. Jason, those of you that are viewing, can see we've got some merch on the way. Jason's giving you a sneak peek right there. You'll be seeing more of that, and we'll have some details to share with you. But please, it helps us tremendously if there's activity on our platforms, if there's numbers on our platforms. And one of the best ways you can help us boost the show and promote the show is by hitting that like button. Thank you in advance for that. In the meantime, we will sign off. I am Metal Dave Glessner with my co-host Jason McMaster saying goodbye. We'll catch you soon on another episode of the Talk Louder podcast.